day 33 of the war in Iran, and there's a lot of going on. I think the biggest news, and we will talk about it probably the most at the start, is Trump says he has a big announcement. That's an announcement that will be made 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we still have a far way to go, and we probably will not be able to be live until then. That's a long time. But maybe just a small teaser. I was thinking we might go live at that time, depending on what he says. Because there is I don't think there is a non-zero chance that it might be surrender, that it might be saying we won the war, that it might be saying the war is at the end, that we will no longer fight this war, and we will definitely have a lot to say to that, a lot to disagree there. So yeah, we might talk about that. We'll also cover the news today, some at the start and some of the clips I have, and then we'll spend the rest of the live stream, I think, going through Dave Smith being again on Tucker Carlson, and I'll try to get myself through it because sometimes it's hard to listen to Dave Smith. I'm Daniel, welcome to the Daily Objective, and joining me also at the start is Jonathan Honig. Jonathan, any just opening thoughts before we go to the news?
Just great to be with you, Daniel. It sounds like your cat has something to say about it as well.
That was my niece.
Oh, your niece. Okay, well, she might be featured as well. But it's great that we have our audience joining us from all over the world. You know, we have events in the UK, but we have an audience that's a global audience that are all passionate students of Ayn Rand, as we are. So we're happy to see them and happy to have them join us once again for another day of coverage.
I'm wondering how microphone picks that up, because she's like one floor up across the whole house, and it's soft walls, I guess. But yeah, so going into the news, I guess, well, of course, the announcement is going to be big, but that hasn't happened. It just was announced that it will be announced. Now, apparently, Trump also had a claim that the Iranian president asked for a ceasefire. This was rejected by Iran as false and baseless. Now, again, we don't necessarily know what is the state of Iran right now, and what I mean by that, what is the state of communication. I think a sort of working hypothesis that at least we've developed is that maybe Trump is straight up talking to different parts of the regime. He's talking to one side of the regime that is not able to fully communicate, or basically you do not have a cohesive policy coming from Iran right now, so you might get these separate things. Although now he was specifically claiming that Iranian president asked for a ceasefire, which again would be, I think, also weird for the president who doesn't have the full-on executive functions. That is more of a question to be posed to Mojtaba Khamenei, the supreme leader. Now, we don't know what the state of him is as well, but he is the actual authority in Iran right now. Then we had IDF reporting a missile launched by Houthi militias, but thankfully it was intercepted. What else was there? So I think this was most of what happened today. Also this. Israel also reports 4 missile barrages fired from Iran, again using cluster ammunition. This is in Bnei Brak and Tel Aviv, injuring 14 people. Thankfully, nobody has died. I'm hoping Israel stays safe. I think I've also heard a little bit from Alex that, yeah, the barrages are very scary right now. So, Jonathan, any quick thoughts on these pieces?
Well, when one side says, oh, yeah, the other side wants a ceasefire, and the other side not only says, oh, no, we don't want a ceasefire, but is continually shelling Israel, then it makes you wonder, like, is he just bullshitting? I mean, what is going on here? I mean, you know, you want the war to be won. You want the enemy's will to fight to be eliminated. You want not just fewer rockets launched into Israel, you want 0 rockets launched into Israel. So I'm very concerned that the president sees the work is being done, whereas the Iranians feel as if perhaps this is a war that they've won, that they've conquered, that they've succeeded. And, we might have set back Iran for a couple of months or years or even decades, but I'm very concerned that the regime is intact and that the issue, issues surrounding that will not have changed at all.
Yeah, and again, I'm wondering if we could straight up go through the opening, uh, the full statement that Trump had when the war has started. And we are actually also joined by Stuart Margoli. So thank you, Stuart, for also joining us. We were just talking about, I'm not sure if you caught that, but Trump said he's going to have a big announcement about this war later today, so 9 p.m. Eastern time. So that's going to be, well, whatever it is in everyone's local time, but yeah, local Washington D.C. time, 9 p.m. Meaning in the Middle East it's gonna be like 4 to 5 a.m. or something like that. Or specifically in Israel, it would be 4 a.m. So very early, but we were thinking that we might just go live at that time again, depending on what the statement is going to be, since I think there is a non-zero chance that the statement might be a surrender statement, or basically saying we've won. And now we are going out. But Stuart, do you have any thoughts on this, or maybe any other piece of news that you caught in the last few days?
Yeah, I mean, my worry is exactly that this is the moment that we've all been fearing, that Trump would, declare victory and leave with the job not done. But we'll see. Maybe it's something else. You never know with Trump. He keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, so as I've said, maybe before that we'll also watch the Trump's full statement on the U.S. strikes against Iran, and but we might do that later. So again, just a reminder: in some time we'll go and check out the Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson interview. But before that, let's look at a few other things. Maybe we can start with this. We haven't covered this guy in a while, specifically Zoran Mamdani. He has been on Mehdi Hasan's ZTO interview, where he confronted him about the arresting of Benjamin Netanyahu. So let's take a look.
Is the plan still to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to New York City with Donald Trump as his human shield?
Look, I think I want to just first give us the context of this, right? Oftentimes this is described as if it is a matter of opinion, a personal assessment. We are speaking about someone who is facing a warrant from the International Criminal Court, someone who has perpetrated a genocide of Palestinians for close to 2 years. And every hour for that time period, a Palestinian child has been killed by the Israeli military. And this is something that has shocked the conscience of so many across the city, across this country, across the world. And I hear about it from New Yorkers everywhere. I hear about it when I take the train. I hear about it when I'm walking on the street. I hear about it when I'm speaking about our affordability agenda. And I hear about it because it is an affront to any kind of
Maybe you should reconsider your environment. If somebody around me was like just slandering anti-Semitic propaganda, you might have to rethink your social circles. You might have to rethink, I don't, when I go on the street, I don't hear just people like doing homophobic stuff to me or something like that, right? Because it obviously wouldn't be respected in any way. Why is Zoran Mamdani? Because again, what is it? I mean, even him, like genocide of Palestinians, or even specifically like IDF spends every hour of its time killing Palestinian children. I mean, give me a break. Like, what is this but anti-Semitic libel against Israelis and against Jews? Stuart?
I don't know where he gets that figure. I've never heard that. That would be 24 children, not Palestinians, but children, Palestinian children a day. I think he's just, I don't know where he's getting that. It sounds like he's just making it up.
I mean, I guess if you go by reporting, technically that would be lower than it's being claimed. But again, it's because again, like a child an hour, so there will be 24 times 365. That's not that many. There will be like 9,000 a year. So in like 2-3 years it would be like 18,000, which I think technically more children are reported dead in Gaza than that. Unless
Yeah, I
my
guess-
math is wrong somewhere.
Well, I mean, the way he's stating it though is
Yeah, it's more like that's the goal, right? The goal is just go to and
Right,
kill
and
children
I
and
mean-
hunt children.
I don't know exactly how many children were killed, but they're not. He's making it sound like they're executing one an hour, like on a timetable, as opposed to, I'm sure there were a lot killed in the initial assault in going into Gaza, trying to, subdue Hamas. Probably most of the deaths occurred in those initial weeks. It's not like, right now, 24 children a day are being killed. That's just not happening. So, maybe I don't have all the figures, and of course you can't trust the figures coming out of the Hamas leadership. But yeah, the way he stated it is just completely misleading.
Yeah, I mean, again, right? Like the implication with all these, I mean, the implication is clear that IDF goes out and kills children, just for fun, or well, he says genocide, right? Because they wanna kill them all. Jonathan,
Yeah, I mean,
New York,
that is so commonplace among these Western leftists frequently, and although not always the case, who are just kind of they're playing off of the fact that their audience is low information and has no context, even might not even know about October 7th at all, and just plays into this stereotype that, as you said, Stuart, Israel are just these homicidal, bloodthirsty maniacs for whom killing is just sports. And it's like this is what's presented as fact among people like Mamdani and many others in the blogosphere and potosphere, and that's how Israel's presented, as just this bloodthirsty state who succeeds not by innovation, not by industry, not by technology, not by advancement and respect. The opposite of the truth.
Let's take a look more.
Universal belief in the sanctity of humanity, of justice, of safety. And I also hear about it because there is a deep shame and anger and a horror at the fact that we as Americans are complicit in this. I think Graham Plattner put it best when he recently said, our taxpayer dollars should be building schools and hospitals in this country, not bombs to destroy them in Gaza. And there is that deep sense of the contradiction in our politics.
So you, as mayor of New York, want to hold him to account.
And that is the importance of this city, is to showcase a model of what politics could be, and to showcase that we are a city that believes in international law. Now, look, to be clear, I'm going to operate within the bounds of the law. I'm not Donald Trump seeking to create my own legal system as I make my own decisions. And yet I think it is also important to say that the time of not only tolerating but celebrating Benjamin Netanyahu in this city from those in leading political positions, including the mayor.
Yep.
The time of looking at Benjamin Netanyahu coming to this city and then making military decisions from this city to kill civilians, that time has to come to an end. Because New Yorkers, at the very least, want to bring an end not only to this genocide, but also to the complicity we have in the violation of international law.
Yeah, so again, it's more of the... Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, just again, there's lost of any context. If you just heard this for a minute, you'd say, wow, sounds like Israel is just at it again, blindly and needlessly just going out there and killing. And Mamdani plays to that. He plays to a low information voter and a low information listener.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there is... well, I guess we'll talk more about it on when we talk about Dave Smith. But recently, or not recently, for probably a few decades, there's been such a dumbing, not even dumbing down of like politics, but like everything is, I don't even know what the right word for it, but like it's not serious. Like this is not a serious discussion about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict or about the arrest warrants for Netanyahu. This is, I mean, this is virtue signaling. This is what it is, right? It's like, look, guys, I hate Netanyahu, and I would arrest him if I could, but I can't because, you know, I have to work within law. Well, I should say I'm glad that at least he says that. I mean, that should that should be the bare minimum for, again, any politician to like work within bounds of the law. It's not something to be celebrated about. But yeah, just like, this is not a solution. Like, even if you are pro-Palestinian or whatever, like, this is not like doing anything. Like, lying that Israel is committing genocide. Well, how is that helping like anybody? Like, how is lying helping anybody to actually resolve a conflict, like, ever? Stuart?
Yeah, you have to wonder. I mean, what do they think would be the resolution here? Is it just, you know, Israel gives up and you know, stops being a country? Is that, do they really think that's a viable end state? Do they think two-state is solution? Because Palestinians don't seem to think that. Every opportunity they've ever had for a two-state solution, they've rejected. So what exactly are these people hoping for? Even it's not clear. It does seem like it's just virtue signaling without any attempt to actually solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of two-state solution is usually what they would go for. But even, I would say, even that's like completely divorced from reality at this point. It's like Mexicans like coming now and saying that Western America has to be get back to Mexico because it used to be part of Mexico before the Mexican-American War, right? It's like, well, you're just living in delusion, like that. That is non-starter for anything. Well, technically there isn't like any conflict between America and Mexico right now, but let's say there was like a disputed territory between those two countries and somebody came with that as a solution. Well, it's not a solution. And the same two-state solution is, at this point, it's I mean, I don't think it ever was, but maybe you could make a case or some case for it, you know, going back decades and decades and decades, many decades, pretty much 200 years ago. Maybe you could make a case for it then, but like now it's like, so what you're saying, so 500,000 Israelis that are living in Judea Samaria have to get all of their property taken, have to get like, because they live in Judea Samaria, for some of them for like 60 years, right? So all of your property will be taken to be given to Palestinians for no benefit to Israel. Like, Israel doesn't get anything out of it. Simply move out 500,000 people from Judea and Samaria, from industrial land, from developed lands, from everywhere, and move them here so Palestinians can get a state. You know, the same Palestinians that just tried to kill you on October 7 and are still sending rockets to you, and that Iran and Hezbollah and Houthis are working with Palestinians to take over your state. Simply give that back, and that's like an actual negotiation. No, it's a joke. You're not serious about it.
Well, and the Palestinians' problem isn't that they don't have land, that they don't have enough land. It's not the geography that's the issue. It's the ideas. It's their fundamental ideas. It's their fundamental hatred of the West, of Israel. It's their wanting to destroy the state of Israel. It's the ideas that these kids are raised for, to become martyrs for the Palestinian cause and to kill Israelis, to kill Westerners. So it's not that like, oh, if we just had a few more acres, we'd have a thriving Palestine. And, you know, it's their ideas that are the issue, not their geography.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a super chat from Bonnie. Thank you so much. And yeah, but also, I mean, you're right that it is the Palestinian culture that's fundamentally the problem here. Again, Palestinians, well, not all, but all Palestinians, like within the region of Palestine, let's say, used to be part of Israel. Many citizens, and many of them permanent residents, where eventually they could become citizens. And they said, no, this is not good enough. We want to fight Israel for more land. And I'm thinking this was after 67 and during the first Intifada, where they said, no, we don't want to live with you. We want to destroy you. And that is what Palestinians are always being told. They're always being told that, no, don't negotiate with Israelis, don't get any sort of a deal, we will be behind you. You know, Zoran Mamdani, the mayor of New York, will be saying that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. So everybody is behind you, just simply keep on fighting and never actually come to a table in any reasonable way. And in that way, Israel should never. I mean, again, there is no negotiating with people who want to kill you. Okay, any more thoughts on this one, or I have a few other clips? All right, let's take a look at, so I don't know how closely you guys were following the Cuba story. Basically, some Western influencers, whatever, went to Cuba, and specifically Hasan Piker was the one I followed. He came on CNN to talk about his visit to Cuba. By the way, he was asked to come to Cuba by the Cuban government. That's how he got there, just so people know. The same guy who also went to China with the acknowledgement of CCP and on their behalf.
Paint us a picture of what it's like on the ground. What'd you see?
When I first landed in Cuba, I was taken aback by how beautiful everything was. You know, you got the 1950s cars and it's a tropical island destination. But very quickly thereafter, as soon as we got into Havana, the main city area where people congregate, I couldn't believe the sights that I was seeing. It was very sad. You had homes that looked like they were bombed out. Our tour guide at the time said that this was somewhat of a product of hurricane season and how difficult it is to like repair these buildings. And I already had known about the rolling blackouts, and I experienced them later in the day. And it was definitely unlike anything I've ever experienced before. Everything's pitch black. There aren't any traffic lights on. Like it's crazy, right? But I was taken aback. I was very sad by all the poverty that I saw, and then I was very angry. It was actually Ben Rhodes who told me that I would get very sad when I first went to
Former Obama foreign policy advisor.
Former Obama foreign policy advisor Ben Rhodes, who was formative in the previous normalization agreement with Cuba that Barack Obama had orchestrated, and he was right. It was very sad to see, but then it was very angering. It was very anger-inducing because I felt like.
Well, maybe before we go to the anger, we can just talk about this part. I mean, yeah, that's how usually countries under communism look. And it's not the American embargo, it's not the sanctions or whatever you want to put it, it is communism. Free countries can develop even if they are not able to fully trade with the world. Cuba specifically is in the place that it is because of communism, because that's where any collectivistic politics will bring you. Not just communism for that matter, even fascism or any kind of statist policies. They do not have any respect for individual rights. They do not have any respect for, individual achievement, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys seen the stories, but yeah, doctors in Cuba basically have to like become a taxi drivers for tourists, because that's the only way they can actually earn a wage. I think separate thing is like many doctors have to like go work overseas because that's also the only way to actually make money. So achievement is not rewarded in Cuba. Individual rights are not respected in Cuba. That I think has much more to deal with the poverty there rather than any kind of sanctions or any kind of embargo by other countries. Stuart?
Yeah, you're right. But I guarantee you that the next clip, Hasan Piker is going to try and lay the blame on America and on the embargo. But yeah, the reality is, and it's not ambiguous. You can look at literally any socialist country. I mean, this is what it yields. That it always results in poverty and degradation, and it's just it's so bizarre to me that, you know, with literally the example of every country where communism has been tried, people like Piker are still going to try and lay the blame on the capitalists. But he will. I guarantee you that's what he's going to do.
Well, we'll take a look if your prediction is right. I should remind people that we do have a super chat goal like every show, where if we reach the goal of £100, for the rest of the live stream, there will be no ads. So if you want to enjoy a more seamless experience, make sure to support. And also you support this channel and make sure we can bring this to you every day, several hours a day, commentary on Iran war, but many other things, like Cuba here, for example. So let's take a look.
You know, there was a lot of potential on this island that we were just robbing the people of. And it's totally cruel and totally unnecessary. And it was part of the reason why I went to Cuba, because I've heard a lot about Cuban organizing, Cuban government. I'd read a lot about it.
Sure.
I knew about the island's history of developing sovereignty, but I'd also heard about this blockade, right? And I wanted to figure out exactly how this blockade was harming people directly, and in many ways that are indirect, because the blockade itself is designed to be invisible. It's a system of sanctions. It's this like bureaucratic nightmare that basically renders it impossible for the island to do regular commerce, just like any other country. Banks can't take out loans from any other banks. And you, as an American citizen, as a matter of fact, have a lot of restrictions on what you can and can't do, both on the island, or if you wanted to even send money, if you have relatives on the island. It's a very difficult process to like directly send cash payments to your relatives as well. It's totally unnecessary. These rules are so arbitrary, and yet they're so damaging to everyone, to everyday Cuban existence.
What were
Yeah, so again, he tries to blame everything on America. Now, I don't know what the extent of like sanctions or embargoes there should be on Cuba, because I don't know to what extent they pose like a national security threat. I mean, obviously there was reasons to do so in the past, where Cuba was like an actual enemy of the United States, an ally of Soviet Union. I think some of that still applies, but I'm not. I don't know how full it is. But again, trying to blame. I mean, that's what I always do, right? The problem with communist states is they cannot trade with capitalist nation. That's what they are trying to blame it for. The fact that they cannot trade, again, with capitalist nations, or shouldn't even say capitalist nations, with mixed economies, because that's what the United States and pretty much every Western country is. It's a mixed economy. It's not a capitalist nation. Stuart, any more thoughts on this?
Yeah, I am not an expert. I don't know the extent of the current sanctions. And as you said, I don't know that they really are justified at this point in time. Certainly they were in the past, but after the fall of the Soviet Union, I don't know that Cuba ever, posed a threat. But nonetheless, the core problem in Cuba is the socialism rather than the sanctions. And that's, of course, something that someone like Piker is never going to admit, but that's the case.
Yeah. Now, again, while I cannot necessarily prove the sort of justifications for embargo on Cuba, I don't want to like just let it off the pedal that easily, because I don't even know. I don't even have the affirmative to say there shouldn't be sanctions on Cuba. I mean, for that, I would, a shortcut would be to just go to some experts I at least somewhat admire to see what they think. I know people like John Bolton consider Cuba a national security threat. I would have to look at what specifically he means by that, but generally I find myself in agreement with him. So I don't want to let Cuba off the hook just because I'm not super knowledgeable about what exactly is the state right now. Well, I have one more clip from Hasan, so let's stay on him just a little bit more. Let's check this out.
To get closer to the primaries, though, I mean, we are going to see these things coming out of like just people, you endorsing people or you being with people trying to use things that you've said and done. So we do have to talk about that while I have you on, right? Because you've been accused of calling Orthodox Jews inbred, comparing Zionists to neo-Nazis, dismissing reports of sexual violence on October 7th, saying, I believe the quote, and once again, it could be a clip, so we'll get to that. It doesn't matter if it happened on October 7th. It doesn't change the dynamic of me, and posting that Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel. Which of those things would you say you stand by? Which of those things would you say you regret? And which of those things do you think are being misrepresented?
I think the ones that are being misrepresented pretty egregiously are like it doesn't matter if rape
happened on October 7 or not, because that was actually an argument that I was having fairly early on with a chatter who was denying sexual violence or the likelihood of sexual violence happening. I was telling him that this actually doesn't change the dynamic of genocide. Like, this doesn't justify genocide at all. But that one has been misrepresented pretty egregiously. As far as the inbred comments goes, there's like a massive compilation of this out there of me like calling any kind of like ethno-religious, racial supremacist an inbred, because a lot of these ideologies do revolve around genetic purity. But the idea that it's like directed at Orthodox Jews is ridiculous. It was specifically talking about, like, you know, settlers and settlers destroying aid and things of that nature. But I do understand.
Oh, so just other Jews. It wasn't these kind of Jews. It was just other Jews. So that makes it okay. By the way, just a reminder: being like a settler in Israel, you're a full citizen. There is nothing unique. There's no more violence that you commit, even on average. There's nothing, like, again, being a settler just means you live in Judea and Samaria, which is part of Israel. There is not any difference. And the people who try to, like, justify or try to, like somehow you can advocate for killing them is insane. Stuart?
I mean, I think he would claim that, you know, that the settlers are taking the land from the Palestinians, and you know, I don't know that I think that has happened at times in the past, but I think that in most cases they are settling land that is not owned by Palestinians, or that they have bought, or simply living and working and, you know, being
in the past. You mean like 100 years ago, or like a few years ago?
I don't know. I don't know the details.
Sure.
I know that there are accusations that you know, that land was taken inappropriately. Sometimes it's that you know, the Palestinians abandoned the land on the behest of their leaders, and then, you know, Jews came in after, but then, you know, years down the line, the people that had abandoned the land said, "That's our land. We want it back." It's like, well,
I mean, as of right now, Judea Samaria is still split into the three areas. So yeah, Jews can develop and live within their areas, and Palestinians within their areas. So as far as I'm aware, that hasn't like ever changed. Now there are like expansion of settlements, but that simply means like expansions within the sort of border of the area that is controlled by Israel, or that is, in a sense, under Oslo Accords, recognized as this is area that Israelis are controlling. Now there are, you know, whenever you see, or again, I cannot comment on like every single situation that has ever happened, but whenever you see sort of like Israelis destroying Palestinian settlements, it usually means the Palestinians have actually encroached on the Israeli land, or on the area that is controlled by Israel, and then they try to say, well, look, they are destroying their thing. Well, you never had a permission to build that in the first place. Now I think there's like area A, B, C. I think it's a problematic. It's a vestige of the Oslo Accords. It was never supposed to stay like this. It was eventually supposed to develop under Oslo into like a full Palestinian state. So I'm definitely for, well, not going and finishing Oslo Accords. I'm definitely for, Israel taking over all of it. I mean, that is the only solution you can find here. So again, I would, and in that way, this is another example of like not really dealing with the issue, because he says settlers are. I mean, I don't know what well, let's listen to what exactly he said on this, just so I'm not.
Ideologies do revolve around genetic purity, but the idea that it's like directed at Orthodox Jews is ridiculous. It was specifically talking about, like, you know, settlers and settlers destroying aid and things of that nature. But I do understand that.
Oh, okay. So he didn't he said just destroying aid. I mean, even that, like destroying aid. What the hell do you mean? Can I get an example? What does destroying aid mean?
Yeah, I don't know what he means.
And again, that's like not actually. When I talk, I'm trying to really be specific. Now, I might not always be so. So if people in the chat can call me out on it, I usually appreciate it, because I usually, when I say things, I actually have reasons to say them, meaning I have some understanding behind it, or I have some reasons to say something, so I have some justification to prove, or some justification to show. So that's what I'm trying to do. But with I mean, with propagandists, with somebody like Hasan Piker, the goal is to be, I don't know what's the word for it, but to
Vague.
not define things,
Purposely vague,
to be
yeah.
vague, right? Because anybody can agree. Like if you say, settlers are stealing egg, I mean, what are you supposed to say to that statement? There is no answer. It's a non-statement.
It can come across as insensitive, but so I will, as I told Politico, I believe, or the New York Times, I'll try to be a little bit more careful with my language there. As far as the differences between,
So he said he should be more careful, and he just said, they are stealing aid, with no explanation, with nothing to follow up. So great working on it, Hasan.
Hamas and Israel, I mean, that I do stand by. I don't have an issue when people point to that to say, how could you say such a thing? Because my counter always is, okay, well then argue against it. Explain to me why Hamas is a larger danger to the world, or a larger danger to the Palestinians, or a larger danger to Israelis than Israel is, because Israel has committed a genocide. I think that it comes across as like a statement that is out there, because it's not one that you hear.
Yeah, because it's a serious accusation that seemingly people have no longer any respect for, and will say that Israel is committing genocide and has always had. Stuart, any more?
Yeah, I mean, the trick that Piker and these kinds of commentators, they assert the genocide claim without any evidence, without definition of what a genocide is, but just like, oh, we all know genocide's happening. It's like, everybody knows. So there's no need to define terms or provide evidence, because everybody knows. It's a sneaky way to avoid actually dealing with the issue of what is happening, and what is genocide. As someone pointed out, that if Israel is committing genocide, they're doing it very, very badly, because there are more Palestinians now than there were 20 years ago, or 40 years ago, or 80 years. The numbers of Palestinians have increased dramatically. So that's pretty inefficient genociding, if that's your goal.
Yeah, and again, just a reminder, genocide doesn't stop at the borders. And I know this is not really like a fundamental thing to focus on, but why would Israelis have this hatred for Palestinians within Gaza, or Arabs within Gaza, and somehow all the citizens and Arabs of the state of Israel, that they're okay with them?
Right,
just like the German Jews. Nothing happened to the German Jews, of course. The Nazis only went after the Polish Jews, and after the Czech Jews, and the Ukrainian Jews, but nothing really happened to the German Jews, because they were citizens, and that is respected. It's like, no, give me a break. I mean, when you hate a certain race of people, one, it's not fully rational, so you probably find very good justifications for doing so. And now somebody might say, well, but Israel is trying to, like, Arab Israelis are not fully respected, or maybe they are looked at as like a fifth column, or something like that. And to that I say, well, but what is the better explanation for it? That they hate Arabs, or that there are simply national security issues with Palestinians and with Arab Israelis, that again, while being citizens of Israel, and they do have all of their rights fully recognized, there is sort of like a cultural suspicion of it. I think to some extent rightfully so. I mean, there are Arab citizens, even Arab citizens of Israel, are some of them more basically maybe too close to Palestinians. That is an unfortunate part of tribalist politics that I wish that would never happen. But also, if you are trying to argue that Arab Israelis or any sort of like a minority ethnic group might not have a allegiance to sort of enemies of the state. You're sort of like, you're lying to yourself. Look at the Germans in Czechoslovakia, like before World War II. Those were traitors to the country. They were very quick to, like, they set up a political party to basically overthrow Czechoslovakia. Same with Hungarians in Slovakia. Like, that's what happened. It's unfortunate part. I wish they didn't. I wish people held more allegiance, well, not even to their state, but to the right cause, be it your state or not your state. But that's the unfortunate part of it. Like, I wish Arab Israelis were all, in a sense, voting for the same parties, but or like voting, or like Arabs and Jews had like together parties. But unfortunately, a lot of Arabs are voting for either their communist alternatives or their like straight up jihadist alternatives in Israel. It sucks, but
Yeah.
they have a right to do so.
Right, exactly. They actually have the right to do it. It's just so incredibly frustrating. The reality of the situation in Israel is just blanked out by these people. They act like, Israel just has this unwarranted hostility towards the Palestinians. And there's certainly, there are Jews that are racist. They're racists in every culture and every group, unfortunately. But the animosity towards the Palestinians is largely due to the Palestinians wanting to wipe Israel off the map. I think the vast majority of Israelis would be very happy to live side by side, either within Israel or even as a separate state with these Arabs, if the Arabs weren't trying to kill them. And that's what's blanked out by Piker and others like that.
Okay, so I do have one more clip, which is kind of scary because we might find ourselves agreeing a little bit with Finkelstein, but let's hope not. But let's see what he had to say.
There's no evidence, and I've studied it very closely. There's no evidence that the U.S. went to war against Iraq at Israel's behest, or that Israel tricked or duped people like Cheney and Rumsfeld, two very smart individuals with long experience in government, and they can make errors. In the case of Iraq, they made a colossal error. But tricked and duped, no. That's not in the Cheney or Rumsfeld lexicon. That doesn't happen with them. They can make errors often born of hubris, but not but not being tricked or duped by the Israelis into believing that they were engaged in a war of national interest, which was actually a war of Israeli national interest. That doesn't happen. Period. Full stop.
What happened to this guy? Is this like advanced anti-Semitism, where it's like the normal anti-Semitism is you believe Jews are behind everything, and the advanced anti-Semitism is like you think Jews are incompetent, so they cannot be behind everything? I'm kind of surprised to hear this from Finkelstein, basically saying that Iraq war wasn't some sort of Israeli plot, but was faulty intelligence from the administration. Well, not much to say, because I guess I kind of agree. I think he wants to go after some conservatives, so he'll be talking about that in a bit. But Stuart, do you have any thoughts?
I don't know who this guy is, and just based on that clip, I agree with pretty much everything he said. I don't.
How did you never? Oh, that's interesting. Finkelstein is one of the most popular historians on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Okay. What's his first name?
Norman.
I think I have heard of him, but I've never seen him I didn't know who that guy was looking at him. But yeah,
well, I shouldn't play this. I should play something else first, just so we know who he is.
That's okay. But Yeah, I think it is absurd to imagine that smart people in the U.S. government are just, willing dupes of Israel. I think that's. I don't think that is the case, and but yeah, given what you said, it's surprising that he thinks that too. But
let's take a look more.
Mr. Kent, you're completely out to lunch. The things he's saying, they now say, this group of right-wing MAGA and ex-MAGA types, that Israel was behind the Kennedy assassination. Where are you going? Next, it's going to be Israel was behind the Civil War. Israel was behind the fall of the Roman Empire. It's just so completely lunatic, and they all believe it. I mean, you wouldn't believe the degree of seriousness with which they say things like Israel was behind the Kennedy assassination. So, Kennedy's an interesting example of one aspect of what happened. As you know, everybody says, left, right, and center, they say, Israel manipulated Trump into this war. He was tricked by the Israelis. He was seduced. Everybody says that, from Tom Friedman to this guy who's a person on the left, Daniel Levy, everyone. It's ridiculous. But all the claims being made that Trump was tricked, he was no more tricked than Cheney and Rumsfeld were tricked in 2003. Nobody tricks them. They could be wrong, and they were very wrong, and Trump was wrong, and the Israelis were wrong. But, of course, it was the U.S. national interest. There's always been a national interest in getting rid of Iran.
So I don't like this, because Stewart will now walk away with a good impression of Norman Finkelstein. Because this guy is like
one clip where he makes sense.
Yeah, I just saw it, like people sharing it, so I wanted to check it out what it says. So obviously you don't have any context of like Norman, but I think he's like extremely dishonest when it comes to even his interpretation of Israeli history and general his coverage. But maybe I just haven't noticed this part of him, because like oftentimes, so you have like the Tucker Carlsons of like saying America has no interest in taking out Iran, right? That's like the, let's say, phase one, sort of like denial. Like America shouldn't be involved. There's no reason why they should be involved in Israel. There's no reason why they should be, taking out Iran. And I guess then there is a second phase, which is the people who are like pro-Iran, but also anti-American, and view that as a bad thing. Like you can say America has a national interest in taking out Iran, but you might say that as a bad thing, right? If you are anti-American, if you're a pro-Iranian, you're not saying a good thing. I mean, it sounds like a good thing because the person who you're saying it to, although these people talk to different kind of people who do not view America as being good, who do not view America as pursuing like a good for the world. So I guess mostly this is interesting to see him. I wouldn't even necessarily say pushing back against the conspiracism on the right. I'm wondering what his specific goal is, because in one way you could say, like, if you are pro-Palestinian or whatever, something like that, an actual anti-Semitism or conspiracism isn't helping them, right? If I can show that, let's say, if I, as a relatively pro-Israeli guy, can show that the anti-Israeli people are all just a bunch of conspiracies or like crazy people, well, I benefit from it, right? I portray the other side as like a bunch of lunatics that are, in a sense, not to be dealt with. Which I'm surprised, in a sense, because I didn't consider Norman Finkelstein as like a really genuine guy who, or not a genuine guy, but like somebody who actually wants to see a resolution with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which this kind of seems to suggest it. Like in a sense, he like wants to say, like, guys, don't show us as crazy people, because then we cannot like actually solve this. Although again, I haven't seen him actually ever offer like an actual reasonable solutions to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But Stuart, any takeaways from you?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that that Trump is susceptible to all kinds of influence, but ultimately he does what he wants to do, and it's often whim based. But the idea that Israel is controlling Trump, the idea that anyone can control Trump, including his own party, is just laughable. Trump is a wild card. He does all kinds of crazy shit, and I'm sure Israel wishes he were more controllable. I think a lot of people wish he were more controllable, but I think the idea that Israel is pulling the strings it's just more of the Jewish conspiracy that goes back literally hundreds of years. These ideas that Jews are running things, pulling the strings. This is not new. This is the same old, same old.
All right. Well, with that, let's actually go. Stuart, do you have anything you'd like to bring up before we go to the Dave Smith interview with Tucker Carlson? Maybe any news or anything that stood up to you today or yesterday, 2 days ago?
Well, this is completely unrelated to Israel, but I'm sure you heard that Kristi Noem's husband has now been outed as a cross-dresser. Did you hear about this?
I've seen something like that, but that's the type of story I usually don't try to follow that much.
Well,
but
I just think it couldn't happen to a more deserving woman to have her husband be a cross-dresser. But
he's a cross-dresser, but
There's anything wrong with that? No, of course not.
No, there's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But the Republicans are so interested in legislating other people's sex lives and other people's personal lives, and always it turns out that they are doing either oftentimes horrible child molestation, but in this case it's just to me cross-dressing is a perfectly legitimate kink. If you're into it, it's not my thing, but I don't care. But the fact that these are the people that are getting the country whipped into a frenzy about trans women in bathrooms and creating issues out of things that are just not issues. It's like they're so focused on this, and then it always turns out that the most homophobic Christian preacher is the one caught molesting boys, and it's so typical of these people that they want to legislate everyone else, and they want and yet in their personal lives they are doing the things that they're preaching against, and it's just it's funny in a way, but it's also really sad that these are the people that much of America is looking to as for guidance on moral issues, and these are just terrible, dishonest, hypocritical people.
We have a super chat from Salme. Thank you so much, bringing us to £5.14. I mean, imagine being Kristi Noem, losing your job. Well, technically, she was reassigned to some, guardian of the Western world or something.
Some made-up position that, it's total nonsense, and she knows it.
And although, did she not know he's a crossdresser? Is that the story, or?
It's not entirely clear if she's claiming this was a surprise.
All right.
I'm not sure. It sounds like she's trying to claim that she didn't know, and maybe she didn't. I have no idea. But of course, she apparently had an affair with her coworker. So these are just deceitful, dishonest, nasty people who want to lecture us about morality. It's
yeah, which again, like I don't want to go to like personal lives on these people, because relationships are hard and sometimes you all find but again, that's like the fault of conservatives to a large extent, right? It's for all the jokes we make about the left, the fact is, I wouldn't give a shit I mean, honestly, about like any of it, right? There has been always like jokes that when there's like a I think this is like an Onion skit straight up, that like the trans prostitutes start making more money when there's like a conservative convention in town or something like that. And I don't know, maybe this is just like a bias that obviously when there's like a conservative that has either is outed as gay or anything that you would like assume with like people on the left, or like cross-dressing or whatever, or anything that you would assume or like you would take as like not conservative value, right? Maybe it's like a bias of like when it happens, it's obviously gonna be a big deal. So maybe it doesn't happen as often, and maybe it just sounds like it happens often because again, right? It's a story from yesterday, I think, and technically we are still talking about somebody coming out as cross-dressing or somebody outed as like a crossdresser isn't necessarily like a story, at least to me. But we are talking about it specifically because it is one politician, but also like a conservative figure being outed as. So yeah, I mean, again, that's on them for making a big deal out of it. Because again, like technically the right response to this is yeah, he is. So like from
right.
Christine Owen, like that's
yeah, no, I wouldn't care. It's not my business. But when they make it their business to try and legislate everybody else's personal life, it feels like poetic justice when they end up getting in trouble for the very things that they're trying to control in other people's lives.
Yeah, although I don't know how her husband, like, is he involved in politics or like I don't know anything about him.
I actually don't either. Yeah.
Because like yeah, again in that perspective, I mean it's kind of hard to say because not that I'm trying to like put myself in his shoes, that's what he does. But yeah, so like I think it sucks. Like I think conservatism or like religious are incredibly repressive cultures, right? It's like anything you find enjoyable, anything you find anything that is like non-conventional is considered like, oh, that's not conservative. And I think it leads to like incredibly I think that's why you find a lot of conservatives like doing this like almost like crazy shit because because it is because in a way you have to be secretive about it, right? There's no way to actually like properly explore that to see if you like that or not. So then you start just doing more crazy stuff. It sucks, but again, the way to fix that is again for conservatives to come out and say, hey, certain things are okay, certain things are either private matter or there shouldn't be like a stigma against it.
I don't end up having sympathy for these conservatives that are shown to be complete hypocrites. It's I'm all for alternative lifestyles. I don't think there's anything morally wrong with cross-dressing, but don't cross-dress and in your private and then publicly come after trans people and vilify them for essentially cross-dressing.
Somebody else in the chat, does husband's issue reflect poorly on Noam? I mean, I don't think it should. I mean, again, maybe from the sort of. I would say it reflects poorly. If she really doesn't know about it, I would say that reflects poorly from like the relationship part. The fact that you have a relationship with somebody and you have to keep secrets from each other, I think, but again, that's not really for us to care from like this relationship part. That's for like her and her psychologist or her partner to like figure it out why they cannot be honest with each other. If she is lying about it, that obviously reflects poorly on her. The fact that she, in a sense, is throwing her husband or like her whole relationship under the bus because of politics. Because again, like right now, if anything, she should stand by him. Like even if she actually didn't know about it, I think she should have said that she did. Like I don't think that the reflect, like she is straight up like like throwing under the bus her husband. No, like when you say I didn't know about it, I have nothing to do with it. It's like, well, that's your spouse. That's your, I mean, you are one that you went into. I don't know how religious she is, but like this is like a sanctioned thing, and you just completely threw out that sanction. I think that reflects poorly.
Yeah, and well, I mean, clearly they have a pretty odd relationship, given that she's, having this affair, and maybe they have an open. I mean, but the thing is, if they're, ethically non-monogamous, or if they're open, I don't have a problem with that. But then they should own it instead of, they're all very dishonest people, and as you said, the whole conservative ideology just encourages this repression of what are often, perfectly fine impulses, but they're vilified, and then I think the repression causes this. I don't know. It seems that the repression causes acting out in increasingly unhealthy ways.
Somebody asked if it doesn't reflect poorly on Noam, which I didn't necessarily say. I think it does in many ways. Why bring it up then? I mean, it's still, it's a politician. I mean, how can you not really, like, if a politician is in like a scandal, and again, I think, like, for me, like, the fact that he is a crossdresser, I don't care about that. And like I said, I wouldn't even bring that up. But for me, I think the more important part, now that I'm thinking about it, is the fact that either she's lying about it, or she's like dismissing her husband, or whatever. She seems to like try to throw the whole thing away, and in a sense, like, what's her integrity with this? Again, bad things, or there might, like, throughout your life there will be things to light might come out that maybe you didn't want public, right? Or something like that. Which again, this should be like a private matter. But then I think it matters how you encounter it, and I don't think her reaction, from what I've seen, is a very mature one, very very proper. And I think it speaks about I think if you are a politician, I think human qualities matter, like integrity, which I think is failing. And again, we know all the other stuff from Kristi Noem. She was the what is it, Department of Homeland Security, right? She's a secretary. Yeah. So not a big fan there either.
No, she's a horrible person. So that's why I think it's okay to enjoy the suffering of horrible people. I don't think that's. I mean, that shouldn't be a primary, but I think it's okay to get a little enjoyment out of her humiliation. I think she's earned it.
Salome in the chat, a member says, Norman Bates and Ed Gein had issues with cross-dressing that were concerning, and yes, I know Bates is fictional. Is that... that is the... What's the name of the... Hitchcock. That's a Hitchcock.
Yeah, Psycho.
Right? Psycho.
Yeah. That's Norman Bates. What was Norman Bates had issues with what?
Cross-dressing.
Oh, cross-dressing. Yes. I mean, certainly there are criminals that have had issues with cross-dressing, but there's nothing inherently disordered or criminal about cross-dressing.
I mean, technically, well, I haven't seen the original movie, but I've seen there's been one new thing on Netflix, which was something like, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like, basically, it's hard to explain the movie really. It was like if like Psycho actually happened, and then they are making a movie about it, and them making a movie about Psycho was like that was the show. So it's kind of hard because like there's several things happening at once. So at least from the little bit I've seen of Psycho, the cross-dressing seemed to be some sort of like sexual repression. Like it seemed to have some like.
Well,
Yeah.
in Psycho, if I'm remembering, it's not so much that he's cross-dressing as that he's cross-dressing as his mother. He's killed his mother and he's assuming her role. So that's not like normal cross-dressing.
Yeah. So I think that that it's probably like a different.
Yeah, I think that's a whole different psychological thing. I mean, I don't think that in reality there's any association between like serial killers and cross-dressing. I don't think that's really a thing. I think, apparently cross-dressing is not uncommon among heterosexual men, and it does seem to be a sexual fetish, and as long I don't have a problem with that as long as people are not lying to their partners about it. But yeah, like I said, we don't know what I find it hard to imagine that Christy Nome didn't know. He obviously owns this whole wardrobe of, we've seen pictures of these fake, breasts and this clothing and all. It's hard to imagine that she didn't know, but who knows?
Yeah, I guess I would sort of just wrap this conversation up with. I mean, I guess specifically with the cross-dressing or something like that from the Psycho specifically, I think people oftentimes try to make shortcuts when it comes to like evaluating people, saying like cross-dressing is like connected to that. But I think especially with people who have psychological issues, like Psycho for example, I think sometimes they. Like in this example, might try to like find an outlet that might be, something that is like normally a kink, but now it obviously has like a much different meaning. Like again, just from what I remember from the show, it's like some of that was terrifying stuff. But again, that much more has to do with his like mental issues than specifically, that brought him there or something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody says trans and cross-dressing overlap but are different. I don't think I have enough knowledge about this to say. I think no. Is it?
Yeah,
maybe.
I think.
I mean, they are different, but like, is there any? Do they overlap in any way? I think they could start and again, when you talk about trans, you're also talking about like so many different things.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake that a lot of people make in assuming that trans is like one thing, and I don't think that it is. I think there's ample evidence that there's different things going on for different people, I think that there's sometimes cross-dressing can be sort of a stepping stone to realization that you really want to be the opposite gender. But I think for most cross-dressers, they're not confused about it. They're happy in their body. They're happy being the gender they are, but they just enjoy cross-dressing as like I said, it's kind of a sexual kink. But it's not that they want to change who they are, have surgery, or take hormones, any of that. It really is just about the clothing.
Thank you, Daniel, for a super chat. He says the bro or mensier is a male garment, for your information. So I just looked it up, but I'm just seeing like Seinfeld images for some reason. Yeah, but it is. It might be a Seinfeld reference. I see. Yeah, I think it is a Seinfeld. I'll put it. Can you see the chat on the private chat?
Oh, is it like a bra for men? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it seems something like that.
Yeah, I think that is from Seinfeld. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I think it is.
So yeah, thank you for your super chat. That brings us to 665.
Well, Daniel, I hate to abandon you, but I need to get going.
Sure.
Do you have other people going to be joining the show?
I'm not sure 100%. I think Jonathan will join at some point, and I'm okay with going alone at Dave. So basically, I was about to switch to the podcast, so we were going to do that. But yeah, thank you for joining me.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. Talk to you later.
Yep. Talk to you later. All right, so that's actually a good segue to actually go to this. Let's not go full screen. Let's just set it up like this so YouTube doesn't block us. And let's see what Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson have to do. Almost 3-hour conversation. Imagine that. Just agreeing with each other.
So it does seem like, in addition to everything, first of all, Dave, thank you. As always, we're late because we just had such a long breakfast, 2.5-hour breakfast. I hope this conversation could be as interesting as our breakfast just was. But in addition to everything else changing, you made such a smart point a minute ago about the means of convincing the public. The propaganda machine is completely broken. And so what does that mean? You're in the middle of a war. You're in the middle of a massive power shift globally. Like, everything is changing, the economy, military strength, like everything. And it's impossible to know who is telling the truth. Like, who comes out more credible in this, in the media? Like, who are the people you listen to? What's that look like?
Well, I think everybody who's being authentic, I think, is who's coming out ahead of this. It seems like if you look at like the podcast numbers, you know what I mean? Like, it's the people who are being critical of the regime's policies.
Yes.
It's the people, from my perspective, the people who are telling the truth. And so in the media world, I think there's been this, as you know, because you were in the old media world for so long.
Only 35 years.
You go. Okay, not that long. That's a little bit. You put a little bit of time in.
I'm implicated, yes.
But look, I always thought, and I mean this, I used to watch you back on your MSNBC show, and you were always one of the very few kind of authentic people. Even when you were wrong about stuff and things that you look back on and you're like, oh, I've changed my mind about all that. But it's an incredibly phony world. Like news in general, there's something about it that's very, it's very, welcome back to the 6 o'clock news. And, it's just like, what is that? That's not how you talk.
Credibility doesn't derive from being right about everything. Credibility derives from being honest.
Yes. But so I think after the first 20 years or so, first 15 years of the 21st.
Okay, I'm just going to stop here just so we don't do too much of them at once. So what they're trying to say is, that basically media is dishonest. It's not coming across well, and therefore people are switching more to alternative media. I think this has been happening for a while. I don't think that's a good thing. Do I think it's a good thing? I think there is a difference between news and between commentary. What you have the podcasters doing is commentary. They never do any news. They never do any actual reporting. They only take things that are coming from the actual news. So, in a sense, I don't like this this comparison or this taking them as the same thing, taking them as like saying, like what he said, this is the 6 o'clock news. Well, that's what it should be. That and in a sense, the problem with, I think, at least American media, I would say that there was too much commentary. The fact that you, like, every single journalist on Fox News, for example, is like doing actual commentary on the news, not just the news. Salome says authentic is creepy, a little bit. Bonnie says, poor Carlson, if only you thought principles worked, you'd have means of knowing what's real, no matter how much effort you had to make. You're anything but honest. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what in their I don't even know what they mean by honest. I mean, it seems like it means with like actually. Well, let's see. Let's see what they actually talk about.
Century, and you know, at this point, what we're 26 years into the 21st century now. It's the government. Every single crisis that's happened, and we've had quite a few. You know, we had 9/11, and we had the global war on terrorism. We had the huge financial crash in 2008. We had COVID. We had that. Okay, so on every single crisis, the government and the media just lied through their teeth to the American people and got exposed. Like, it's not like anyone now thinks like maybe Saddam really did have weapons of mass destruction. Like, we all know. We all know if you get the vaccine
is safe
you
and
can get COVID. Turns out you can get COVID even after having the vaccine, as everyone who got the vaccine also got COVID, or just about. And so it was like.
I mean, again, this is so. Like, this is what they're saying is like a truism, like media lies. Well, what do you mean? Or I mean, what did they brought up? Like, nobody believes like Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. I mean, even the people who invaded Iraq don't think they did. That was the faulty information part. I mean, they always treat truth or sort of like knowledge as something that's like always been there and you can never change. When it comes to like, let's say they said if you take a vaccine, you won't get COVID. I mean, were people saying that? I mean, maybe there were. I haven't seen that. If they did, that's kind of stupid, I think. Or maybe it was some different understanding. And again, there's like, they are saying the COVID vaccine. Like, the COVID vaccine. What do you mean? There were like several. Did you take AstraZeneca? Did you take Pfizer? Did you take Johnson & Johnson? I mean, which vaccine are we talking about? Some of them were with the new technology. Some of them were with the old technology. Did you take Sputnik? Did you take the Russian vaccine? I mean, yeah, what are we talking about specifically? Thank you, Daniel, for a super chat. They say, I chose a barista to do my shoulder surgery. Just came across way more genuine in his candor than any doctor I've met. Yeah, I mean, that's the type of thing. Like, like, again, I don't know what this stuff means. I don't know. It's so broad. What did I name the episode? Yeah, this is like virtue signaling. Like, just to remind, this is what they're doing. Like, oh, COVID vaccine's bad. And media lies. And, you know, also politician lie. Did you know that? Politician lie. And they lied to you. That's virtue signaling. You're not actually doing anything. You're just like virtue signaling towards your listeners. Let's see more of their virtue signal.
All these phonies in media lying us on behalf of power, lying to us about these policies. Right. And at the same time, as they were getting exposed for all of this, and I do think COVID did it almost more than anything, because the global war on terrorism was over there, but COVID was over here and affected everyone. Also, obviously, covering for a clearly senile president was a pretty easy one for everyone to see through. But so while all that was happening, also the technology, simultaneously got to a point where, you can do this for a reasonable amount of money. You know what I mean? Like, it's not in 1980, if you wanted to set up your own TV studio, you needed a corporation to get behind you, because who had the resources? Whereas everyone now can open their computer. If you have a phone, you can record yourself and put it out there. So the technology allowed for tremendous parody, and the lying us into all of these disasters resulted in people really craving authenticity. Yeah. And so, it's just like the propaganda machine got broken. Now, to your point, the policy.
I mean, you know what's authentic? Like pulling out your teeth without anesthesia. Like, what are we talking about? What does it mean to be authentic in the news? Or in anything? I mean, sciences are complicated. Geopolitics are a complicated manner. How can you... What does it... I wish they gave me like a single definition. What does it mean to be authentic? Am I authentic when it comes to my coverage on Israeli-Palestinian conflict or the war in Iran. I mean, I try to be genuine about what I know and what I don't know. I try to define my terms. I guess I could define virtue signaling. What I mean by I think people understand what virtue signaling means, right? But like, not actually doing anything, just like saying things or doing things that people will like, but not, like, let's say, okay, they are talking about like the COVID misinformation or whatever they are claiming, right? And it's like, well, media lies to you. Okay, but what's the solution? If all media lie, how do you fix that? By just having Tucker Carlson, or like having 1,000 Tucker Carlsons doing podcasts? Is that a solution that brings us? What does that bring us? Like more, better America? Like that's what would get us better America? Bonnie says authentic used to mean correspondence to reality, using reason. I mean, we already have like words for that. But yeah, the way they are using it, I don't know. What do you mean?
Are still going on, and that just creates a very interesting new time. Like there never was. I cannot imagine if while George W. Bush was trying to, push the war in Iraq, let's say for all of 2002, they spent the full year building the case for what? Well, imagine every day Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity were calling out George W. Bush for his lies. Like the people who George W. Bush voters trusted the most were hearing their favorite newscaster telling the truth, doing news. Well, you can't even fathom what that would be like. Well, that's what it's like now. Now, that's the...
Now, to be fair, I was one during the build-up to the Iraq war, so I don't have as much experience with that media environment. But like calling his lies for what? Again, when it comes to the weapons of mass destruction, that was the general understanding, not of like George Bush, but of the whole American administration, UK administration, pretty much all Western world, the UN itself. What does it mean to call out lies? What does it mean to like... And again, he says like give out actual news. That's not news. That's commentary. That's not news. Unless you actually find something. Maybe you find, hey, this is like faulty information. Let's say some journalist in 2002 or something, I don't know, but well, yeah, around that time, had some information. Hey, our information about weapons of mass destruction that is being used as justification on Iraq is wrong. This is wrong information. Well, that's news. But Tucker Carlson is not doing anything like that. He's not revealing any new information about Iran or Israel or Palestinian society or anything. He's just like inviting people and commenting. It's not news. You're not actually bringing news.
Situation. And I don't know what that means exactly, but I know that governments all around the world have invested heavily in propaganda campaigns for a reason, because they think that's really important. They think it's important that they don't just go invade Iraq, but that they convince you first that he's got nuclear weapons and he's in bed with the terrorists and they're, whatever Condoleezza Rice said, we don't want the warning to be in the form of a mushroom cloud from the bomb that doesn't exist. His terrorist friends who he hates, who he's not friends with at all. But so now we're in this new world, and it's very exciting as someone who's a part of it. And it's an exciting moment to be alive, but it is certainly a dangerous one. They say the most dangerous time for a woman to leave the most dangerous time for an abused woman is when she tries to leave. Yeah. Right? Like that's when he might kill you. And that's kind of how I feel about the government right now.
I think that's...
Who is this guy? We have a super chat from Jonathan first. Thank you so much. What's gonna happen? What? Is the CIA gonna kill you or FBI? Like, what are you talking about? In the past, we had Americans during World War II arguing against the war with the Nazis. We had, silver shirts, and we had like pro-Nazis in America. You know, if they actually did something, they of course were arrested. But what does he think will happen? And again, this is the type of stuff, like, so you're doing this. So why are you not blurring your face? Why are you not? I mean, making sure you stay safe. I mean, still say the things, right? Make it go out there. Or are you this big, again, virtue signaler? Like, I'm coming out and saying the stuff as they truly are. Nothing's gonna happen to you. Like, give me a break. What is this?
So, first of all, so well put, and also so true, because it can't actually last that much longer because the disparity in power is too great. So I think a lot of people who have podcasts, I've been in so many different kinds of media, it's hard to remember what this one's called. But it's podcasting. It's the same, you know.
Sure. It's a kind of silly term that doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't.
We don't have iPods anymore.
No.
I don't know why. It's just that one just
so
stuck
true.
for whatever reason.
It's so true. But people who have, you know, in independent media feel like they have a lot of power. Oh, I've got so much power. They have no power. They don't control the medium, really. They don't control YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't have the FBI at their disposal. They don't have nuclear weapons. So actually, they are powerless. And through a quirk of history, because we're in a change moment, that's not obvious, but it has to be obvious. There's too much at stake, right?
Yeah, there was a...
Don't they have to be crushed?
I think it was the CNN lady. She used to work for...
Wait, so they don't have power, but they have to be... Maybe I'm just missing what he's trying to say. I don't know why he says that independent media don't have power. Tucker Carlson right now is at has 5% chance of becoming on poly market that he will be the Republican nominee. When he didn't announce his intention to run, when there is not much indication that he will run, and that's because of his podcast. I think straight up, most young Republicans listen to him and actually value his opinion on things. He can change the outcome of elections. I sincerely believe so. I sincerely believe so. I really do. I really do believe that. That Tucker Carlson can affect the upcoming, well, probably not upcoming midterms, but like a presidential election or a Republican national convention, and who gets to be the Republican nominee. He's incredible power. Candace Owens has, and I mean, like, these are huge. How many views does this have? Okay, but this was published today. But I mean, it's still almost 200,000 views in less than a day. It was published today, so less than a day. You have no power, nothing.
Vice, I believe, but the girl who was like known for interviewing like the alt-right figures, and she interviewed Tim Dillon last year, and it was right after Trump won his election, or shortly after, and she said, you know, something like, you guys are the real the power center now, you know. And she's like, yeah, you podcasters, you guys are the ones with power, because I guess, well, okay, the more people watch these shows than watch the traditional shows,
right.
And Trump came and did a bunch of them, and then he won re-election, and Kamala Harris was too scared for wisely. People say that was a real mistake. She should have done Rogan. No, it wasn't. It was a really good call. It was a really, really good call by her team to not do Rogan, actually. Yes. It's like after 2016 when they were like, what, you know, Hillary Clinton's campaign is so stupid. She didn't visit Wisconsin more. And you're like, you really think they're that stupid? No, her numbers went down every time she went. Exactly. So they were like, stop going.
They didn't like her. That's why she didn't go.
That's which it was actually her best chance was that. But anyway, so you know, they say, oh, you guys, you know, since you guys got President Trump elected, you're the real power center now. And it's like, pretty sure the CIA still has a little bit of power. I think there's still like a little bit hanging on in the Pentagon. I'm not quite sure. It's all in Theo Vaughn's hands at this point, you know? But no, yes, so that's the dynamic.
So it can't continue. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like they don't even seriously engage with anything they say. So when people say sort of like podcasters had a lot of power, they say like they have ability to, like, when we are talking about like Tucker Carlson, or even when we are talking about somebody like Joe Rogan, he like carries water for so much of like what Trump administration did. You think that doesn't influence it? I mean, isn't that the same thing? When he says Sean Hannity or whoever were like propping up George Bush during the or in the upcoming of the Iraq war. Don't you think that when podcasters go, this sort of new media, go and like speak positively about Trump? Because again, what were these all podcasters? Tim Dillon, Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan. They don't criticize Trump on anything. I mean, they might throw in some like random thing, but they don't really criticize him on anything. They support him fully. Don't you think that has like that might have maybe the same kind of influence on the people who listen to him, on their view of President Trump and their way of either voting or how, what shows up in polls or what shows up in, actual support?
I mean, let's be totally honest. What everyone forgets about Tank Man in Tiananmen Square is like, we don't even know what happened to him. We don't know his name. Probably crushed by the tank, actually.
Almost certainly, yes.
Yeah. I'm not laughing. I am laughing because just the delusion that people have. I've got a voice. It's like, no.
Well, but that's the weird, it's very strange.
Oh, I think I know what's happening here. This is like the weird, like you think you can do something when there's this all-powerful state. They will come and crush you down if they want, because a student was run over at Tiananmen Square by a tank. So basically, Chinese Communist Party, during one of the hardest or harshest parts of China, probably until now or until very recently, that's the same as America. It's the same kind of thing. I mean, we all remember all the Americans being crushed by tanks, right? All the tanks going through American streets, like shutting everything down. And do not, like, yeah, state is powerful. State should be powerful. It should be able to exercise properly the rightful parts of what it should do. But then we should limit it to the actual parts that it should do. What does Tucker Carlson want? He wants bigger state. He wants to give more powers to the state. What was the recent, the great gold scam he did? He said, well, there should be more regulation by government in these areas. We need a more powerful government. We need a more involved government. Why is Alex in the chat? Isn't it Pesa? Alex in the chat says Tucker needs to lay off Ozempic. He needs to work out, develop some muscle, and put down the ice cream. He looks 10 years older within 6 months. Does he? I don't really notice that. Let's take a look at it.
For both these things to be going on at the same time. That's why I said to you at breakfast, my analogy is the, on the Roadrunner cartoons when you run off the side of the cliff, but you're still in it.
To me, it kind of looks the same. I at least haven't noticed anything unique about him. Look at that smile. It all started with that damn smile.
There for a moment, and then you look down and realize, it's like we're there. Like, how can you keep doing this? So those people, I mean, and obviously for me personally, like, it's kind of fascinating because I've been in this world, and over the last 2.5 years or so, I've done, I mean, like, if you count like all the, debates and the Pierce Morgan debates or Oxford style debate, I've done like 35, 40 debates on, just Israel or the warfare state or whatever it is, Ukraine, a lot of these things. And I've never, it's like the side, broadly speaking, because there's a lot of differences amongst people who disagree with, say, the war in Iran, or U.S. support for Israel destroying Gaza. But broadly speaking, it's not only like we've won the debate, we've like just crushed the, and it's not just me, there's lots of people involved in this, you more so probably than anyone. But when you see, like, you look at the polls, there was this one poll I saw, and this is just one poll, but there's a lot that back this up, but that it was before October 7th, they'd ask, who do you sympathize with more, the Israelis or the Palestinians? And it was plus 48 for the Israelis.
Yeah.
It's now plus 1 for the Palestinians. And
in the U.S.
In the U.S. And to just think, so basically a 50-point shift in a little over 2 years. And Tucker, I mean, I don't know, you were doing this for longer than me. when does that ever happen? When does any issue ever swing by 50 points in 2 years? It would be like if I were to tell you in 2 years this country would be 95% pro-life. It's like, whoa, what happened in those 2 years? Well, I mean, the pro-lifers must have really won the argument. You know what I mean? Like, and so now that we've had.
Really? Is that the thing? So when people agree with you, that's people being convinced by arguments. But when Iraq war happened, people were lied to. When things we like happen, it's because we won the debate. We convinced them. When something that we don't like happen, well, that's just people being lied to. I mean, this guy's like Cenk Uygur, the type of stuff, saying that all Americans want Medicare for all. It's just the corporate Democrats. It's just the corporate Democrats that are like stopping everything from happening.
I can prove it!
Cenk.
I can prove it!
I need a bit longer that specific. I might also need it to be quieter. But again, going back to the virtue signaling, this is all that is. It's like we've won and they are behind us. And I think to some extent they did win. I mean, the support for Israel is down, at least in America. Now on the ground, Israel has managed to do a lot in Gaza. It's managed to remove a lot of threats to the state of Israel. Has managed to remove a lot of threats to America as well. Has managed to remove a lot of threat to Western states in general. But that's not what people want. That doesn't seem to be as much, belief for individual rights, belief for, actual Western values, Western, alignment with Western values and sort of sustaining of Western nations. So that is, we are losing on that front. And it's sad. I'm trying to think how to fight against that. We are trying to do our little part, but because it's so fundamental, the message, like they can. Because here's the thing, right? When it comes to the pro-Palestinian messaging, you can do it in whatever way you want. You can lie. You can say Israel is committing genocide. You can say, well, they're just like slaughtering babies, these terrible Jews. You can do all that. But when it comes to like advocating for Israel, well, you need to actually, or advocating for the right things, you need to actually touch the fundamental thing. Oh, okay, this is what I'm reminded of, right? And again, I hate whenever I see this clip. Maybe I could even find it. But there was this clip I've seen. It was like a debate between a leftist and some millionaire or billionaire or whatever. And the girl, it was a girl, leftist, she was asking the millionaire, like, oh, how could you make the money without exploiting any other people? And he say, well, I'm doing this like courses, I'm not exploiting any people. And she's like, well, did you know that when it comes to whatever, your computer parts, they are being mined in some African nations where they don't have respect for human rights, or something like that. As his answer was something like, well, you don't know me. I used my money to actually feed African people, or something like that. And it's like, so you gave into her premise. You said that your business is immoral. Your business is not good. Your business is bad. It's exploiting others. But you can recover from it because, you are still altruistic. Because you spend on charity. You spend some of the money you made, you spend on charity. And that's what makes you moral. So you agree with what she said. You completely agree with her ideas. You simply, say you are actually better at them. It's this, I guess, the effective altruism movement is kind of that thing, right? It's, we are the actual altruists because we make money and then we use it to actually, on other people. And it's like, you can't, that's not the way you fight against leftism or against anti-business practices by saying, well, yeah, businesses are evil, but we use it in a good way. That will never work. The way you do it, you defend the actual thing. You say, no, my business is moral. My making money is moral, and it's good, and it's fabulous, and it's amazing. I make great money, and I'm proud of it, because it's mine. I earned it. I decided to deal with people by voluntary agreement. They decided to trade with me, and I made trades with a great amount of people, with millions of people, which made me a millionaire, which made me make a lot of money. That's how you actually fight against leftism. That's how you actually fight against socialism. That's actually how you fight against people who are anti-business. By saying, no, business is good. And I'm not going to accept your premise. I'm not going to accept the idea that me trading voluntarily with other people is evil by itself and can only be redeemed by doing the altruistic charities. Salma says 95% American are pro-life. Framed that way, of course, how many still believe abortion should be legal? I think what he... I think what specifically the thing he was making there was like, if... pro-life is a wrong term. If 95% of Americans wanted to ban abortion, you would like really think about like what happened in the last 2 years. He was basically drawing a parallel between the support for Israel and support for banning abortion. Let's take a look more.
Had for the first time ever a media environment where, say, Israel is not completely protected. Like, what were the debates about supporting Israel on MSNBC or CNN? No, they don't exist. They never happen. You're not allowed to have those debates there. There's not, maybe like one kind of critical of Israel host will slip in here or there, but if he says too much, he's getting fired pretty quickly. And so we essentially won the debate. It's not close. It's not.
But
there's not a question of
fast.
Yes, in a very short period of time, because there was actually a fair, open media system now.
Oh, it's not because of that. It's because Israel is finally defending itself, at least to some extent, and we don't look kindly at that. We don't look kindly at selfish people. We don't look kindly at egoistical people, at people who actually pursue their values, at people who actually stand by the things they earn. Trying to remember some examples from the past, but there was a... What is the... is it Washington Post? What is the news that Jeff Bezos owns? It's Washington Post, right? Yeah. I think this goes back like a year or something. Where Jeff Bezos says, or sort of the editorial policy of the Washington Post said they will more focus on like actually capitalism, defending American values and defending free markets. And look at what suspicion that was looked at. It's like, oh, billionaires are trying to control the news again, or are trying to control the news. It's we have absolutely no respect for people actually standing up for themselves, for people actually being self-interested, actually being egoist. So of course Israel will lose credibility because it decided to not cover anymore. It decided to actually do things in Gaza. It decided to actually protect itself, eliminate Hezbollah, eliminate the Houthis, eliminate the Iran. Ali Khamenei is dead. Mojtaba Khamenei is maybe also dead. A supreme leader of Iran was taken out by Israel in like 5 minutes. His follow-up was probably also removed in the same strike. We might learn about it more. Or maybe it hasn't. That's not viewed kindly by Western philosophy, by altruistic philosophy. You fight against the people that are trying to kill you? How selfish of you. What do you think you own your life? Do you think you deserve to live? By what standard? There's this other world that you should live for. Or there's this other people you should live for. What about the poor? What about the starving children in Africa? Have you ever thought about them while you are selfishly pursuing your values? As long as that philosophy portrays, as long as that philosophy is here, of course Israel will lose support because it wants to live. Its people want to live. Israelis want to build. That's not viewed kindly. Alex says he's so creepy and paranoid. Also, why don't they just keep all this foreplay and just go for it? They don't need all the kissing and caressing. We already know they want to get down. Yeah, I mean, it is this type of thing. Like I call it, this is like virtue signaling. They are virtue signaling, right? That's what's happening. Like look how nicely we speak of these things you like. Look how we say the right things. Look at my virtues. Let's take a look more.
Wherever, it was really democratized in a way. And so you can't look at you're bigger than you've ever been before. Candace Owens is bigger than she's ever been before. I know I'm bigger than I've ever been before. Ben Shapiro is weaker and more of a laughing stock than ever before. It's just very odd. But then at the same time, who won the policy game? Mark Levin. The president is tweeting, go watch Mark Levin's show today. And his base, his voters are going, I think I'll check out Tucker Carlson. I think I'll. And so anyway, there's just this very weird thing where like we won the argument. We had the national debate. We won. And yet we're at war with Iran on behalf of Israel. And I think what you're getting at is like that does just feel totally unsustainable. Like there's either you got to clamp down on these guys like us, or you got to reverse the policy.
I mean, again, he says clamp down on these guys. What does he think will happen? Will like Trump come in and unplug his, his computer or something? Will he come to Tucker Carlson's studio and like shut it down? Will he send secret police to shut down all conservative media podcasters? Destroy Joe Rogan's studio, set Austin on fire or something. Like, what do they? Like, this is not serious. Like, they will have to shut it down. Well, or is Congress gonna like ban free speech? Is that what's gonna happen? What like deport like American citizens? I think Dave Smith is. Yeah, Dave Smith is an American citizen. Like, what, deport them so we cannot talk in America anymore? And then shut down his internet or, like, put him in jail? Like, what are we talking about here? What is going to happen to you?
And really hoping it's the latter.
So the weather is warming, which means grilling is here. And
oh my god, grilling is bad. Well, let's... okay, Good Ranchers don't support this company because they decide to support Tucker Carlson.
Delivered, and it's excellent.
People don't like to be criticized for their mistakes, and I know this from having a wife and children. Totally fine to be, criticized for something you feel confident is the right thing. But if you screw something up and someone says, say, I told you, you want to shoot the person. It's very hard for people to deal with that. And so...
Is he like projecting or something? Then maybe he's just, he's just saying what he thinks. It can be hard, but it shouldn't be, and you can work on that. I would say work on that. Go do something where you will make a lot of mistakes, where people will criticize you for it, just so you can learn how to actually get out of it. I'm not saying it's easy. It might be a little bit hard, but it shouldn't be like that. You should work on that.
If you have a war like
Tucker should work on. He should have that fixed. I mean, I'm 23. He's whatever, 60 or something.
Which is obviously, this is one of the most profound moments of my lifetime. Mm-hmm. This is much more profound than 9/11, I think. Thankfully, not as, relatively few Americans have died, but you can see that this is the end of something. And the consequences are very, very serious. In the middle of that, to criticize the decision to start the process that led to this, it feels like you're going to be punished for that.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Who is going to come and punish? What's going to happen? Will like FBI knock at your door? Hey sir, you've criticized Trump during his invasion of Iran. My Siri even started from me yelling, what's going to happen to you? Well, I don't live in America, so I can criticize America all I want.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. And I almost, like on some, I don't know, in some way I feel like the political thing or the wise calculation here would almost be to be like, Mr. President Trump, you did such a phenomenal job with this, and it's such a success that we should just stop right now and declare victory or something like, you know what I mean? But I'm just no good at being a political operative. I'm only good at telling the truth. Like it's all
Oh my, you're so good. Oh, he's so good. He cannot even lie. He cannot even be bad. He's so truthful. He cannot even be a politician. That's so amazing. Come on, Dave Smith, tell us more.
Only have one speed. You know, Ben Shapiro called me out recently and called me a bunch of names, and then she said, I know, I can hear Dave right now saying, debate me, bro. Like, if you believe this, why don't you debate me? And he goes, no, I don't debate with it. But he's kind of right in a way that is my response. Of course. I mean, I only have one speed. It's all I know how to do. Like, come podcast with me. Like, I don't know anything else. So,
well, because you're rooted in kind of the old America where, there was a free market, not just in the economy, but like intellectually, free market of ideas.
Yeah, we're supposed to.
Does Tucker Carlson want free market? Is that what it's saying? Or what does it mean, free market in ideas? I mean, there's more free market in ideas than it ever was, technically, right? Like, because of this, like, I'm, broadcasting this from wherever I am. Anybody can join, technically. We can talk about anything, pretty much. I mean, there's free speech even in most Western states, even when we sort of like try to argue that in some ways it's not. But no, for the most part there is. Bonnie says, damn, I'm afraid that's what Trump will say tonight. We've done such a good job and we can leave now, just like Venezuela. Yeah, that might happen. Let's hope not.
Have it at least.
That the whole country was built on that.
Yeah,
idea.
and so that
Ben Shapiro and et cetera, they don't share that view at all.
He knows the ideas can't hold up. I mean, he'll debate a 19-year-old gender confused kid because he knows he can win that debate. Yeah. It's not that kid's more serious than me. That's not really the issue. But anyway, I guess. So just that, like, I only have one speed. I only know how to just tell you what I think is really going on here, and I think you're right. I think this is such a disaster because Donald Trump, first of all, it'd be very difficult at this point, even if he wanted to just stop the thing, which I think he does at this point, want to stop the thing. I think it seems to me like he believed this could be quick and easy like Venezuela, and we're way past that at this point. But he can't just stop now. But obviously, there's the Iranians and the Israelis are involved in this too, and it doesn't seem like either of them want to stop right now. No. So there you got a big problem. But also, look, this isn't Venezuela. There's I don't know what the latest CENTCOM numbers are. I thought 13 dead Americans was the last I saw. The 150 plus wounded number came out weeks ago. I don't know what that's up to now. Our bases and in the region have been very badly damaged. The damage to the global economy is so it's not Venezuela. You can't just come out of this and then pretend something really great happened. If he stops right now, then it's like, oh, you just started a disaster for no reason on behalf of a foreign country. Like, this is just awful. And then there's a couple factors. I've seen this play. I know you've seen this over the years, certainly during the global war on terrorism. where there is, I guess, what you could call like the sunk cost fallacy of war, which is the worst of all sunk cost fallacies. But it's you go.
The worst sunk cost fallacy. I don't know why he's talking about sort of like the damage that has been done to Americans, because like he doesn't believe this war has been like ever good, right? Bonnie says, really, our bases have been badly damaged? Not as far as I know. I don't know of anything. I haven't seen anything in that regard. Maybe I can quickly look up something actually. Because yeah, I'm not aware of anything like this. Let's see. Why is there so much of this? Okay, US bases were definitely attacked and damaged to some extent. I would have to sift through like all of it. I don't know about this like badly damaged stuff.
You go, well, those boys died for nothing if we don't finish the job. And it's like, oh man, is that a bad trap to get into? Because the reality is that those boys died for nothing. That's over. And if you continue this, more boys will die for nothing.
That's correct.
And so no one, Pierce Morgan had a panel once, or a debate between Scott Horton, who is as you know, you've had him on the show, the most incredible foreign policy guy in the country, like just unbelievable levels of brilliance. And his books, Enough Already.
Yeah, it's like give me any terrible foreign policy person, and this guy will like it. It's all the same thing. Scott Horton is like pro-Russian, anti-Ukrainian, anti-Israeli guy, like you could find anywhere, and so of course Dave Smith likes him.
Fool's Errand, which are about the global war on terrorism, are the best books written on the subject. His book Provoked about the war in Ukraine is the best book written on the subject.
They're literally exhaustive. I only know Scott Horton.
Yeah, Provoked. Like, yeah. Russia had no choice but to attack America. I mean, Ukraine. Or Ukraine.
Because of you and what improvement to my life.
Yeah, I mean, he has been such an incredible resource. Like, he's a great friend of mine, one of my closest friends, but he's also he's like my mentor in the foreign policy stuff. And he's just so great because he's such a tool, because he's got a photographic memory. So like, I can literally just call him at any point and you'll just be like, when Iran invaded Iraq in 1980, in 1982, weren't they fighting here? And then he'll just be like, yeah, they were fighting here and here. And then this guy has all their names and everything. It's really incredible. But so he was debating Wesley Clark on Pierce Morgan's show. Talk about the new media world that we live in and how crazy it is now that Scott Horton gets to square off with a 4-star general. And Wesley Clark, who, look, I have my issues with him, but he did give us that great admission about the 7 countries in 5 years. So I'll always kind of be grateful to him. Now he tries to walk that back, but we all heard what you said. But he goes at one point talking about, I believe it was God.
Again, with that, there was no admission. There's no like 7 countries that were actually attacked in 7 years. Like, he's just making stuff up. I shouldn't have to debunk these people. It's a joke.
If I'm getting this correct, he said this was.
It was like the adults in the room. It was like the people. Like the fact that this case gets engagement, the fact that people go to this and are like, yes, I agree with it. I want to support that. It definitely makes one sad.
While it was still, intensely going on. And he goes, but if we just leave now, then Hamas gets to say they won. And you're like, sir, general, That's your opinion on war? But that's a recipe to be in forever war always. We can't ever leave anywhere because so what happens is you get this thing where it's like there's the sunk cost fallacy. We can't leave now because we have to win. And then Donald Trump is now, of course, he put his entire presidency on the line for this, which was really foolish. And so now he's got to get a win. Let me get a win and then I can get out, you know? So let's do a big thing. But then you do a big thing and they respond with a big thing. And then you go, shoot, now we got to respond to that thing. And this is the escalation trap, right? Like that. And this was what people like me and you have been talking about for years. And all the war hawks in the country really enjoyed mocking me and you for the last 7 months or whatever it's been from between the 12-day war and this latest war in Iran, going, oh, you guys were acting like this was going to be a disaster. And look, it wasn't a disaster. Okay, we're back in it now and it's a disaster. And precisely 0 of those people.
I mean, again, so he says it's a disaster. By what standard? What? Why is it a disaster? I mean, again, you say it's a disaster because you don't believe in the Iranian threat. So you're evading what's actually happening. You're evading the fact that Iran is a threat, has always been a threat, and will always be a threat until unless we eliminate it. So, like again,
are going, oh, I guess I was wrong about that.
No, they'll be clamoring for you to be arrested and imprisoned.
Yeah,
of course. Right.
Who? Tell me the names. Who is calling for your arrest? What is like? This is, guys. This is America. This is not like 1984. I think I have the book somewhere here. I haven't read that yet, so I shouldn't make those comparisons. But like, who is going to arrest you? Who is calling for your arrest? Are you kidding me? What? I mean, maybe Tucker Carlson, we'll get the... Maybe once we get the CIA investigation or something, maybe we'll know something. But yeah, somebody says they are professional martyrs. They are like complete virtue signalers. Like, look at... They wanna arrest me. They wanna take me out for my free speech. Who? Who is coming after you? Tell me names. And I will denounce them. If anybody is calling for the arrest on Tucker Carlson for what he says on the show, that's not good. You shouldn't. He has the right to say that. Again, unless he is actually in, does have some sort of a deals with Iranian regime or Qatar. Well, not even Qatar, because technically we don't consider them enemies. We should, but we don't. But with like Iran or Hamas or whatever, like if something there can be proven, then yes. But just for his speech, no. You shouldn't. And nobody is. At least nobody... Well, I know nobody is, because if there was somebody that was calling for his arrest, he would name them. He would actually say them. And maybe he will now, and I'll look stupid.
Because, your existence is a mark of shame. Because you remember. Right?
Yeah.
So anyone who remembers has to be taken off the board. I'm just interested... I never think about... those people, the Mark Levin. I say a prayer for Mark Levin every day because it's my religion. I'm supposed to. But he's not. I mean, Mark Levin's an idiot. He's not pulling any strings. He's a tool of larger forces here. What I'm fascinated by are the...
Which forces? Who is controlling Mark Levin? The Jews? That's what he means to say, right? The Jews. Like, why don't you say... Like, when I joke about Qatar or Tucker Carlson, or like him being controlled by Qatar, I mean, I'm mainly joking. I don't actually think so. I don't think he's being paid by Qatar, or at least in any I don't think in any way. But if I did, I would say that. Like, let's say I think like Tucker is like an actual agent or something. Well, I would say, okay, he's an agent of Tucker. Qatar, Jesus. He gets paid in this way, or this is how I think they're controlling his rhetoric, or how supporting his show or something. But he's like, oh yeah, they're controlling Mark Levin. That's it. That's all I'll say. Yeah, somebody says that's what demons told him.
Assumptions that like ordinary non-Mark Levin Americans have about the United States, the nature of power, history, that allowed us to make the greatest mistake of my lifetime, which is this war. What are those? And a lot of this has
Greatest mistake. When was Tucker born? 60s? I think it's like 60s. Maybe late 50s. We had Vietnam. We had, I mean, even we have Iraq. We have domestic things, right? We have America getting off gold standard. We had like price controls in many instances. We had the financial crisis. This is the mistake. Attacking a state that has been a threat to America since its founding. This is the biggest mistake America has ever done. Here, like, let's say you don't even consider Iran a big problem. I still don't see this as like a big mistake. Like, all together, this is the big mistake.
With the Second World War.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we're reading the wrong lessons into that. And I just want to say for the 100th time, I'm the opposite of pro-Nazi. I'm against authoritarianism in all its forms. But why is it that we look at this?
No, but he's not. Tucker Carlson is absolutely pro-authoritarianism. I mean, even for America.
Second World War and then make a bunch of false assumptions that get us into engagements like this that hurt us.
Well,
what is that? What are the myths?
Well, I think the way I look at it, right, and this is, you know, I've defended Daryl Cooper quite publicly, quite often for what he said on your show, which really, it was, by the way, it's so revealing and totally proves his point, the response to that. Because there's just no reason why that should have been such a huge thing, you know, but like, the thing is that...
But, will he not say what he said?
Hey, Daryl Cooper, did Hitler kill a lot of Jews? Yeah, he did. He did like hours of podcasts on it.
Yes.
Of course Hitler killed a lot of Jews. I mean, what? That's not even...
He just put out episode 2 of his new series on World War II, which I have not... I heard the first one. I have not gotten a chance to listen to the second one yet. The first one's so good. They're all so good.
It's not really about that. I don't think any...
Okay, so we won't even say what he actually said. So he said, Winston Churchill was a chief villain of World War II. That was the controversial statement he said. Rightfully so. And he said, well, he said that, yeah, Germans of course killed Jews. Well, did he? Well, when he talked about the Eastern Front, well, specifically with the atrocities against the Soviet prisoners of war, he said, well, they were just not ready. You know, they had to commit genocide against the Russians because they just didn't have enough space in the camps. Like, they take the criticism that he got and put it in like a completely different way to make it sound ridiculous. I mean, it's a straw man. I mean, that's what it is. By the way, super chat goal, we are at £25 and 54 pence. So we're missing about £74 and 66 pence to reach the £100 super chat goal, at which point we will turn off the ads for the rest of the live stream. Okay, let's see what more they have to say on this.
Sane person. I've never heard anybody in my life say Hitler didn't kill a ton of Jews or Hitler like loved the Jews. No, Hitler.
What? You've never met an anti-Semite, or you've never met like a revisionist? You've never met like a Holocaust denier? What are you talking about?
Hate the Jews, killed a ton of Jews. That's bad. Everyone agrees with that. It's not.
Not everyone agrees with that. Then I don't want to like say like everything is anti-Semitism, but isn't it this like denying Holocaust deniers? Like nobody's denying Holocaust. What the neo-Nazis are, Palestinians are, some of them. Yeah, has Tucker never heard of Adam Egan? He's a big revisionist and half Jew at that.
Really the Holocaust that they're mad about. That's not
well, look, I mean
the threat.
Right.
So most people don't wake up in the morning and decide to feel horrible, exhausted.
All right, these guys don't support that. They are supporting Tucker Carlson.
So World War II was, objectively speaking, the worst thing that's ever happened in the world.
Yes.
Right? It was the biggest bloodbath in human history.
Exactly.
Yeah, and why was it a big disaster? The scale, you know, the millions of Russians, the millions of Germans, you know, the sort of tens of millions of just people that died. I think you're missing a certain statistic there. But again, what do you mean by that? Like, come on. Can we like have like an actual discussion outside of this like virtue signaling?
The worst thing that's ever happened in the world.
Yes.
Right? It was the biggest bloodbath in human history.
Exactly.
And destroyed Europe and it's just so, it's so horrible you think about that humanity reached such a height in the 19th century.
Not humanity. Not humanity reached that. The Nazis did. And the Soviets. To some extent, they also invaded Poland. And Italians. And Japanese. They decided to invade the world. It's not the humanity that reached that scale. It's specific ideologies. Again, even when it comes to Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it's not that the humanity reached that side. No, Palestinians and Arabs. It's specific ideologies that have to be called out, not just humanity. America and Nazis are not the same. And again, maybe I'm jumping forward, but the whole framing of this discussion.
The 19th century, there's two things that happened that could not have been predicted. You would have seemed insane if you had predicted it beforehand. Probably the two greatest achievements in human history are that, well, there's the Industrial Revolution, and for the first time ever, they're like...
Hey, misspoke, that was not in 19th century. Well, all right, I'll give him that.
There's economic growth. You know, like if you look at economic growth on a chart, it basically doesn't exist until the Industrial Revolution, and
There's
then
just
it
different
shoots up.
apportionments of wealth.
Yes. So for the first time ever, human beings escaped like the back-breaking poverty of nature. You know what I mean? Like,
or they escaped zero-sum economics.
Yes, well, right, zero-sum economics, but just
where people got rich by looting. Now you can get rich by creating things that didn't exist before.
And we could raise the standard of living in a meaningful way, in very basic, you know.
It's actually a pretty good statement from Tucker. I don't know where he took that from. I think he said 19th century. Did he say 18th?
Human beings escaped like the on a chart there are that well beforehand probably the two greatest achievements in human history are that did it beforehand that could not have 19th century. Humanity reached such a height in the 19th century. The 19th century, there's two things that have predicted yes, well, right, zero-sum economics, but just
where people got rich by looting. Now you can get rich by creating things that didn't exist before.
And we could raise the standard of living in a meaningful way, in very basic, you know, ways. And also there was the abolition of slavery, which just would have seemed like that was the way of the world for all of human history. And I'm saying the abolition of slavery in the West. Obviously, there were other parts of the world that still had it.
Yeah.
But, and the Industrial Revolution was in the West also. So, you know, but these amazing things happen. And then in the 20th
Yeah, I'm wondering why that happened in the West and not the, you know, other states.
Century, we take that industrial capacity to go to total war with each other. And in the case of the First World War, just over nonsense. I mean, over a political assassination.
It's not even clear.
It's... this is even like bad reading of history. World War I didn't happen because Franz Ferdinand was killed. It was because Germany wanted to go to war and they wanted to use any excuse to go to war. Well, specifically, I should say, well, Austria wanted to do something with Serbia, wanted to submit Serbia under it for a long time. Germany wanted to go go to war with France for a long time. Like that was going to happen. It was just a convenient excuse. Like, come on, don't give me this break. Don't give me this idea that this happened. And what did World War II happen because what? Germany just wanted to get back like Gdańsk or Danzig. Like, come on, like give me a break. Like, World War I happened because Germany wanted to invade the world, wanted to destroy, well, wanted to basically, I mean, yeah, completely eliminate France, kick out Britain's butt in the process, and then take over Russia, or specifically take over the Western Russia and establish puppet states, which again is what happened shortly with the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, which wasn't fully enforced because Germany lost World War One, but that was the goal. This is child's understanding of history. I feel like it's a joke.
Yeah, it's not like somehow this thing spins into this catastrophe. But so after World War II, that's even bloodier than World War I, which was supposed to be the war to end all wars. And it wasn't. It was the war to create the conditions for the worst war in human history. And of course, as you've talked about and gotten a lot of heat for.
And again, even the World War I created conditions for World War II. Even that, so like, it's again our fault. It's our fault that the Nazis rose up. It's not the fact that they had anti-Semitic culture. It's not the fact that they had Germans chose this. They had an options. Germany had elections. They could have voted the other way. Things were getting better in Germany in many ways. It was, of course, suffering a lot of the consequences, both of its status economics and that were not free enough, and of course, the global financial crisis. But they chose this. He's like denying free will of people. Germans chose to go to war with the world the second time.
Civilians were targeted on all sides. Now, of course, we didn't go genocidal in the way that Adolf Hitler went, but we targeted cities when we knew the military was out, targeting women and children, dropping nuclear bombs on cities. And also...
yeah, and that was the right thing to do, because the population was supporting the war, which again, this is what Dave Smith is denying, right? Germany just went to war. You didn't have women and men and probably children, although again, children are innocent, but they were celebrating Nazis going to the war. They were celebrating Nazi victories. They were fighting for the regime, and that spirit had to be crushed. That's the only way you can actually end the war. Dave Smith is the one actually advocating for forever wars.
The kind of the military industrial complex, the national security apparatus were truly created in the aftermath of World War II. Like there were intelligence, but the CIA is created, and the form of government that we actually live under was kind of erected during and after World War II. And so you've got the most profoundly awful thing that's ever happened, and this new government plus a new government in Israel a couple years later that are created. And so when you have something like that, you really got to tell yourself a damn good story about why that is justified. And that's not, when you say this, sometimes people go, oh, so are you saying the Holocaust didn't really happen? It's like, no, it really happened.
It's not about
it really
the
happened.
Holocaust.
The point is that, the point is that the Holocaust happened in a context of 60 million people dying. You know what I mean? Like
it's just so funny. It's all reduced to okay, just to be totally clear, not denying the Holocaust. Okay. It's not about that. Yeah. The immediate post-war changes that you just listed, the deindustrialization of the West, the partition of India, the creation of the national security state, if I could say, an authoritarian national security state in the West, delivering half of Europe to the Soviets.
Yeah.
The partition of Germany. Like these are
so we should have invaded Soviet Union? What do you mean delivering Eastern Europe to Soviet Union? The Soviet Union was the one occupying these lands. They could have liberated them. They didn't want to liberate them. They wanted to make satellites out of them. Do you think we should have invaded Soviet Union? Like again, he's like saying things with actually thinking things through. Like we delivered. Okay, what should have been done? Well, I definitely think we shouldn't have supported Soviet Union, and we should have invaded Soviet Union. But wouldn't that mean more deaths? Wouldn't that mean more war? Like he's just saying things without thinking it through.
All the genocide of German civilians after.
Oh my God, the poor German civilians. I'm sorry. I think The fucking Germans in Czechoslovakia that took over Czechoslovak state, that collaborated with Hitler to take over the Czechoslovak state, to create the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia, to have Sudetenland annexed, the Germans that created political parties in Czechoslovakia in the upcoming to World War II, to collaborate with Hitler to take over. The poor German civilians. Give me a break. They were traitors to the country. That worked with Nazis to take over their respective countries that they were citizens of, that they had full rights in. They couldn't wait to join the Nazis. And and again, no genocide happened. They were cleansed, they were ethnically cleansed from Czechoslovakia and from Poland. Again, Poland, right? Where they tried to invade, they tried to kill all the people, they tried to kill all the Polish Jews. And now I should feel bad because they're feeling the consequences? It's the same thing, just like with Palestinians, right? The Arabs tried to go into Israel and kill all of them, eradicate all of the state of Israel. First, many times, but let's say during the civil war in 47 and then during the war in 48. And now I should feel bad. They get kicked out of some of the land because they decided to eradicate the state. Give me a break. You feel the consequences of your action. That's what happens during war. And Tucker Carlson wants to give the both sides, right? We are as bad. You know, Germans wanted to kill all of Europe, wanted to enslave all of Europe. And then we actually defended ourselves and managed to beat the Germans. Well, now we should feel bad about, setting up a situation where hopefully they want to do it again. Tucker Carlson is an absolute Nazi supporter. No matter what he says, that's what he actually believes. Because that's what is at the core of it. That's what at the core of that ideology. Of thinking that civilians have nothing to do with the state that they reside in. That they have nothing to do when it comes to the support of the state. That they are just innocent bystanders instead of active supporters of the philosophy, of the ideology that is portraying, that is surviving, that is existing in a current society. I don't think I can handle much more, actually. Let's take a look a little bit more at least. How far? So we are 27 minutes in and they're gonna still talk. I think we'll just do a little bit more. Then we'll do check out the news. And I think then we'll wrap up.
For the war. Mass ethnic cleansing, mass rapes and murders and all types of horrible stuff.
So it's not a defense of Hitler, whom I oppose.
It is.
To say all of those are bad. No. It's just...
Wow. Okay, so again, rapes and sort of like murders just for the sake of it, obviously that's bad. I don't see any justification for doing so, especially after the occupation starts and, there's no more war. But punishing the people that participated in a war against you, yes, that's what you should do. Nuremberg trials were the way to go. And then kicking out the Germans who, again, invaded. Yeah, that's the correct thing to do.
It's kind of interesting that this war, which was supposedly so great, gave birth to things that are just objectively the worst things.
Yeah, and
what is that?
Well, look, I mean,
like what? Free France and free Germany, and like free America, free Japan, South Korea eventually, Taiwan, in some ways. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's a disaster of government, total power. And but look, even like if you say like if you're talking about the Revolutionary War, like let's just say like back in the 1980s or something, like it's a school teacher's teaching kids about the Revolutionary War. They don't go like, well, the King of England was taxing a little bit more than he should. And then the framers kind of had these wild conspiracy theories about what he was going to come do. None of that was really true. And anyway, they got into they tell you George Washington never told a lie. And when he chopped down the apple tree, he said to his pa, I can't lie to you. Because like human beings just need this narrative that makes. And so.
Was that his actual recounting of what King George was going to do? Did he never read like the Declaration of Independence? Did he never actually read Constitution or anything? There were like actual things happening to what? The settlers? To American colonies. Soldiers being stationed in people's domiciles. Mock trials, fake trials. Like government coming in and seizing things. There were actual things that happening. What do you mean King George was never going to? Why would King George invade the United Colonies? What are you talking about? It was part of the crown. It was part of the empire. And it wasn't about being taxed a little bit more. This is like this guy is not American. He said, what? He thinks American Revolution was because people were being taxed a little bit more? Give me a joke. Like, that's a joke. There were so many things. Again, the founding fathers were claiming that their rights as people of the sovereign of the King George, their rights as part of the British Empire, their rights as basically not really Englishmen, but sort of as part of the British Empire, that their rights were not respected, that they should have been. That's what their problem was. And you're telling me this guy is an American? Oh, they were taxed too much. Really? Is that how you look at the American Revolution? Is that how you look at the founding fathers? They just had a problem with whatever tax on tea there was or something, instead of the monumental and insane amount of things, the lengths that the founding fathers went to petition King George, petition the British government to start respecting their rights, the amount of respect they had for the British system, and they wanted to work within the British system. And he reduces it to conspiracy theories saying King George were going to invade because of tea tax. I don't think I want to do more of Dave Smith. This guy has no respect for for anything America stands for. He talks about like the authoritarian state of America that emerged in World War II. Now again, I think America is a mixed economy and there are problems within it. It's still one of the greatest states that is out there. And Dave Smith doesn't care for it. He doesn't want it. He doesn't respect it. He's much more favorable to Palestinians and to Russia and to Iran. That's what he actually does. No matter what he tries to say, that's what at the end of the day it becomes. Let's take a look at the news if we have something. So of course we are still seeing attacks from Iran coming in. So I hope, again, as always, people are staying safe. But I don't see much outside of that. Well, with this, as I've said, there will be a Trump announcement coming at... Oh, and by the way, I'm of course not talking about a person in the chat, but yes, I am more American than Dave Smith ever was and ever will be. Because being American is actually about, believing in the values that America stands for, not by being on some random piece of land. Which I made a huge assumption that I should make sure that I'm actually right about. But yes, he was born in the US. So just because he was born on some random piece of land doesn't mean he makes him American. He is a citizen. I'll give him that. We have a super chat from Salome, thank you so much, and a super chat from Bonnie, thank you so much. So as I've said, that Trump is going to have big announcement later today. I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern time. Depending on what it is, I'm still thinking about how we are going to do it, but there might be a chance that either during that time we will already be live, or that maybe, depending on what the statement is, we will go live, or either way we will definitely talk about it tomorrow. So just be on a watch out on this channel, that maybe in, I guess that would be in about 6 hours, that we might be live again. There's a possibility there, or more like 7 hours, 6-7 hours. But thank you for joining me today on this show. And as I said, maybe we'll see you later today, or maybe we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, thank you and bye-bye.